Okay, it wasn't easy, but it did go in the win column for the Chiefs at home. They win 20-17. They kick a field goal with just over a minute to play and then hold the Giants to get to even 4-4. Patrick Mahomes, 29-48, 275, a touchdown and a pick. This was not his best night, but it was enough. The Chiefs ran for over 100 yards, and Tyreek Hill, 18 targets, 12 receptions, 94 yards and a touchdown. A lot of those were little shuttle or shovel passes, depending upon how you want to say it, which are essentially runs, but really show up as catches. Daniel Jones, 22 of 32, 222, a couple of touchdowns and one interception, and those two touchdowns, one each to tight ends, one to Kyle Rudolph, one to Evan Ingram. Giants played valiantly, they played hard, but not enough, and they fall to 2-6. All right, joining Jonathan Jones, Brian McFadden, our two-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. B-Mac, I just watched 4 quarters of this game. Do you feel better or worse about the Chiefs after watching tonight?
EK, I feel better. They won the ball game. It wasn't entertaining, to say the least, based on what we've seen in years past from the Kansas City Chiefs, but they won. They only surrendered 17 points. They had some issues on both sides of the football, especially penalties, but they won a ball game. I think if they would have lost this ball game, they would have been 3-5. It would have been very, very difficult, especially when you look at the rest of their schedule. The next few ball games are extremely difficult. So I feel better for them because as of late, they found ways to lose ball games. Tonight, they found a way to win.
I absolutely feel worse about this Kansas City Chiefs team. And I think, B-Mac, you're attacking it from, hey, you got the win, and so that's great, and you can stay on track. You needed this win. They needed not only this win, but they needed to look like the Kansas City Chiefs of old. The offense needed to hum. There are issues with the Kansas City Chiefs, with their offense. We know about their defense. All I want from their defense is to go from a bottom 3 defense to like 22nd in the NFL. They still look like they can't even get there. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, who had about 20 incompletions today, who didn't really get anything down the field until the third quarter, continues to not be able to get it done in the red zone, where they had 2 field goals there in the second half. I'm not saying that I need them to look like a Super Bowl team right now. I need them to look like a playoff team right now. They don't. I'm concerned about the Chiefs. I've been concerned about the Chiefs ever since he was throwing interceptions in September, something he had never done before, and they were losing in September, something they hadn't done in the Andy Reid Mahomes era. And so now I continue to be concerned with them when they beat a team that they should have beaten by 10, 11 points, by 3 points.
B-Mac, let me follow up here. Patrick Mahomes, look, he missed a lot of throws. I would not look tonight and say that's the best player in the world. I'm coming into this year, I thought he was the best player in the world. I would not think that watching tonight's game. And even in the first interception, which wasn't his fault, it seemed like he wasn't throwing the ball. The guy was wide open. He just seems like something's different. When you play corner and you watch the game from that perspective, what's different about Patrick Mahomes this year? I know the offensive line, fine. The receivers, all that other stuff. But specifically about 15, what's different this year?
Pat Mahomes, he's not seeing the football field well right now. He's looking like a rookie when you look at the cerebral part of the game, the above-the-shoulder game. Right now, most teams defensively, they're playing a generic zone concepts. You've seen a lot of double high safety looks. You've seen a lot of low hole safety looks. They're just basically playing zones and just spot dropping, and he's having issues being able to recognize what they're doing. I mean, that interception that got called back in the fourth quarter by Holmes, he was basically a hook curl player. He was playing a zone concept. He was just utilizing his free eyes to see exactly where Pat Mahomes was going, and Pat Mahomes did not read it. He's not seeing the field well right now. I don't know if this is something that just started this season or something that he's been doing the entire season, but his entire career, but now it's starting to really show up because they're struggling. But right now this year, guys, he is not seeing the football field well at all, and because of that, we're seeing uncostly, untimely turnovers, and we're not seeing the efficiency that we've seen so far throughout his professional career.
You're right, B-Mac, and teams are not blitzing him. And tonight, the Giants decided to blitz him on about 12% of his dropbacks. He came into this game getting blitzed on 10, 11% of the dropbacks, so they stayed really they follow the script that other teams are doing. We're going to play those two high up there, and we're just going to put everything in front of him. We're not going to let Tyreek Hill beat us over the top. We're not going to send a blitzer so that he just throws to where the blitzer just vacated. We're not going to try to get too overcomplicate what the defense is doing. They're not doing it, and so I don't think it is that simple as, well, defense is just playing him normally, and he doesn't know what to do.
I was going to say that. Let someone extrapolate on that. You're not saying defenses have figured out Pat Mahomes or the Kansas City Chiefs, but have they figured him out a little, or at least the best way, the slowest, least painful way, which is play your safeties 17 yards off the ball. You're not getting behind us. We're not going to let Kelsey beat us, and everything's going to stay in front. And we don't think that the Byron Pringles and Mecole Hardmans of the world scare us over the 4 quarters.
I think it's a real perfect storm this year with the Kansas City Chiefs because, yes, everyone is playing them that way. Kansas City Chiefs, remember, that's how the Buffalo Bills played them in the regular season last year. The Kansas City Chiefs said, okay, we'll just rush for 245 yards on you. And they did and won that game. They can't rush for 150 yards on anyone right now. So they're missing their running game, obviously, without Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And even when he was there, he wasn't looking like the Clyde Edwards-Helaire of last year. You have the attrition along the offensive line. They haven't been able to gel just yet. You have Mike Rimmers at right tackle, who's not really holding up his end of the bargain. And so there's issues up front with protection. And then you have Patrick Mahomes in his own head, not necessarily trusting what's happening in front of him. And NFL defense is playing him differently than they have in his previous 3 years when he was absolutely dominating the league and being one of the top 2 players along with Aaron Donald in the NFL. So I think you have all of this sort of perfect storm kind of coalescing for the Chiefs right now that, no, if they actually had a couple of running backs, I don't think they would look this bad. Or if the offensive line had stuck together over the years, I don't think they would look this bad. But because it's all happening together, that's why this offense is looking this bad.
All right, so Vegas is 5-2. The Chargers are 4-3. Denver and the Chiefs are 4-4. B-Mac, is Kansas City winning this division, yes or no?
Based on what I've seen, no. I don't think so. Now, a lot can happen. There's still a lot of football left to be played, and Pat Mahomes could get back to being the Pat Mahomes that we've seen in years past, right?
But right now, if I make it an even money bet, you would take the other 3 teams and not the Chiefs. JJ, would you take the Chiefs or the other 3 teams right now, even money?
I would take the Chiefs, and I think a lot of that is recent nostalgia, if you will. There is a part of me, and I'm willing to admit my bias here. I just don't believe that the Chiefs are toast. I don't believe that they're done. I believe in Patrick Mahomes. I believe in Andy Reid. I believe in what they have on the field with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And I believe that the defense is not this bad. I'm not saying they're good. I'm saying they're below average. They just need to get to below average and not this sort of not only in the basement, but down in the parking garage where you don't even get cell service. That's where the defense is right now. And I just need to get you up there, just 1 floor down. And that's where this defense is. If they can get there, I think it takes some of the pressure off Patrick Mahomes. I think they can string together a couple of wins. And now they look like the team that you don't want to play in January. You don't want to go to Arrowhead. It doesn't matter that you're not going to Arrowhead. You don't want them coming in to wherever you're hosting that playoff game.
I mean, here's how perplexing they are. The guy that felt better about the Chiefs tonight said they're not winning the division, and the guy who feels worse about the Chiefs said they still are winning the division. I don't know. I'm in the middle. Yes is my answer to all these questions. I'm not quite sure who they are. And I'll tell you, for the Giants' perspective, B-Mac, I felt like tonight was almost like a microcosm of Daniel Jones' career. He did a couple of really good things. He did a couple of really bad things. Guys are getting hurt in the middle of the game. Guys are out. His left tackle didn't play. His running back didn't play. The 2 best receivers both left with injury. One of them came back. He found the tight ends, and they lost. That's what he does. I mean, what am I supposed to make of Daniel Jones and the Giants when there's not a lot of consistency, there's not a lot of health, and there's not a lot of results, but there's enough that sort of every time I think I'm out, they pull me back into maybe.
Maybe? Watching the Giants is like listening to Tony Braxton's Another Sad Love Song. It's just a sad love song. And at the end, you're going to end up crying. I'm so happy I'm not a Giants fan because what they do is, like you said, sometimes they bring you back in. They give you a little glimmer of hope. We might get it done. We might get it done. And voila, they screw up. and it just make you fall down on your knees and just start crying out, nothing but tears all over your floor, living room floor, bedroom floor. That's what they do. So me personally, what are the Giants? They're a bad team, and bad teams will find a way to lose a ball game. Kansas City's a bad team right now, right? But the Giants, they're better. They are better. And because of that, they lost the ball game. Kansas City didn't really want to win this game. Kansas City had 12 penalties, guys. 12 penalties. Just alone at home. But the Giants, they're better. So I understand what you're saying, EK.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
they had me believing a little bit.
If I'm a Giant fan, I say to myself, wouldn't I like to see this game with Andrew Thomas and Saquon standing behind him and taking a little pressure off, and Kenny Golladay, who had $20 million a year or whatever I gave him, out there, and Kadarius Toney, I can't have him in the slot, and then Sterling Shepard not basically popping a hamstring like, some people pop tires on a race car. I mean, I'd like to see Evan Ingram actually catching the ball. I mean, I'd like to see what that looks like.
You would like to see what that looks like, but even when that doesn't happen, you still want to see disciplined play from your team if you're Joe Judge. And this was a team, B-Mac just mentioned the penalties by the Kansas City Chiefs, 12. Well, the New York Giants had 10. And not only, so you're not playing disciplined football, you are meeting them in the areas that you need to be beating them in. And then finally, the game management. Joe Judge there at the end of the first half, sort of being content not to be aggressive against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead and go down the football field and try to score, at least get in field goal position. And then there at the end of the game, first of all, you got Joe Judge not taking the timeout with about 2:37 left, deciding to let it take down to the 2-minute and then take it afterward. Ultimately, did it wind up costing them? I don't know, but the book says take the timeout. You got to take the timeout. And then Daniel Jones, of course, taking the sacks there at the end of the game. So all of those injuries can happen, but you still have to play disciplined football. The coach still has to make the right decisions at the right time, and the quarterback cannot take those sacks there in that gotta-have-it time period. Just terribleness from a bad football team in the New York Giants.
And it seems like every year they start slow, right? Record-wise.
Yep.
Every year, for whatever reason, it's 2-6, it's 1-7, and once again, it's 2-6. Good effort, a lot of good things, not enough to get a win, sort of again. I felt like this was a microcosm of the Giants in the Daniel Jones era. Meanwhile, Chiefs get to 500. Here's the remaining schedule. Green Bay coming in. Aaron Rodgers has struggled in that barn. And they're going to Vegas, division game. Then it's Dallas, Denver, and Vegas all at home. And they go at Chargers. That's not going to be a picnic. Pittsburgh comes in. They have the hardest remaining schedule in the NFL. You don't see any 2-6s, 1-7. There's no Lions. There's no Jets. None of that. Instead, it's a lot of 500 and over 500 teams. In fact, no under 500 teams.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.